The Mpumalanga High Court in Mbombela has ordered that Newzroom Afrika reporter Mweli Masilela be compensated for damages that were caused after he was shot and injured during a protest in Kanyamazane outside Mbombela. This was in Mpumalanga back in June of 2020. Masilela was shot in the face with a rubber bullet by the police while covering a protest by taxi operators who were demanding to load their taxis in full during the lockdown period when South Africa was hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. All right, let's talk to Mweli Masilela now, who joins us after this particular court outcome. Mweli, good evening to you. And let's start with what that court verdict has said exactly about what happened to you, and take us back to that very moment when you were shot in the face unexpectedly. I think I remember at the time you suggesting that the police simply showed up and they started shooting indiscriminately.
Yes, indeed, Polly. That's an incident that happened in June 2020. You'll remember that was the time of the COVID-19 pandemic. And you'll remember that also as a country, the president did announce that there should be those rules that sort of ensure that people are protected, especially here in South Africa, considering that particular situation. So what happened is that taxi operators during that time were actually protesting, saying that they now want to load their taxis at full capacity because due to the issue of trying to practice social distancing, they were not allowed to load full capacity at that particular moment. That is why then they were protesting. And as I was part of the media covering that story in Kanyamazane, just outside Mbombela, as I have done interviews with the taxi operators, finished doing those interviews with them, taking some visuals of the situation on the ground. That's when then I saw police coming our direction, shooting at the protesters and towards our direction as they tried to disperse those protesters. And that's when I was actually shot and injured, Xoli. But coming to the issue of the court today, basically it was part two in as far as this matter is concerned, because we know that during the first part, it was in January the 15th, that's when we were actually found to be the police were found to be on the wrong side of the law in as far as merits are concerned. And then this second part today, that's when the judge actually handed down that ruling or order to say that I should be compensated for those damages caused.
Yeah. Mweli, I seem to recall that standing next to you was a police spokesperson from within the Kanyamazane region, and they were also in shock by what happened because the police could clearly see that this is a member of the media, and I suppose they couldn't even recognize their own colleague, which talks to the behavior of police officers and why it is perhaps that time and again they are found on the wrong side of the law. The reason I'm bringing this up, Mweli, is that part of your demand here is that there be an amount that is allocated, and this is an amount that you will donate to a media research institution that will identify and will conduct workshops on media freedom lectures, particularly to the specific police team that was deployed on the day of that particular shooting. I think you're trying to almost find a teachable moment for the police. Tell us why this was very important for you.
Yes, Polly, as we are rightly putting it, most of the time when we are on the field, especially during violent protests, we know that the police are always protecting us. In fact, they always advise that we should be behind them. And what surprised me on that day is that we're not even warned to say that we should move, or even those people who are protesting, they were not even warned that they should now disperse. Instead, there was that shooting of the rubber bullets. Of course, you'll remember when that incident happened, also the South African Editors Forum, a National Editors Forum, SANEF, also came in to say that journalists should be there actually carrying the mandate of reporting and making the public know as to what are the latest developments in the country, especially in a time of the COVID-19 pandemic. Everyone, I must say that many people were anxious to say what could happen. People were dying, and also in terms of enforcing the regulations, it was also our duty to carry out that message to the public to say that this is happening. And also Newzroom Afrika sent me out there to report on those stories as they unfold, because it was the first time such was happening in the country. And of course, this also sort of sends a message to say that journalists should be protected. And as you are talking about that issue of organizing that workshop, in fact, I even tried to and reach out to the police officer after I was told that perhaps it was so-and-so who actually shot on the day. I went to a township called Matsulu, which is outside Mbombela, where I was told that the police actually resides. And I got some unfortunate news to say that that person has now passed on, because also I wanted to understand as to what really happened. Was it intentional, or what exactly informed that? Yeah, that's the reason why I would like to even have a conversation with more police officers to say that as we go out to cover stories as journalists, ours is just to ensure that the public is kept informed on the latest developments, and we are not there to fight or do anything. Ours is just to do our job as expected.
Mweli Masilela, thank you very much indeed. A teachable moment that he is trying to impart here, especially when it comes to police and how they conduct themselves in the middle of a protest. I don't know how many times we've had this conversation as a country with members of the police, particularly public order policing. Thank you very much, Mweli Masilela, and well done on your achievement here today, the court ruling in favor of Masilela.